and I needed every single nurse that came in my path. And I'm so grateful for all of them. Hi, I'm Samantha and I'm a recruiter with Atlas MedStaff. When I started with Atlas, my goal with being a recruiter was to get nurses to where they wanted to be. I just really wanted to help them be where their family was, where they were going to have some fun, or where they just wanted to go see that location. I never thought that it would get quite as personal to me as it has. July of last year, July 4th weekend, I was in a horrific accident where a Kawasaki side-by-side crushed my leg and degloved my leg. I spent 4 weeks in the hospital, several surgeries. I've seen the ER, OR, PACU, I've seen med-surg, I've seen ICU, I've been on all the floors. Throughout this entire situation, all I had were nurses who were helping me. And they would come in the room and they would take care of me, but they would also be there for emotional support. They would be there for just to talk to. I had nurses who would bring me in dry shampoo and mascara and a brush so I could just feel a little bit cleaner because I wasn't able to take showers for quite some time. I started up in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, which is where I spent the majority of my time. I had several nurses there that just went above and beyond for me. And, I tried to get all their names and I couldn't tell you very many of them, but I know that I had Charlie and I had Ariel and I had George, and they were all just so amazing for me, and they were amazing for my mom, who was my support system there. When I was sent home, I had a wound care nurse who I'm still friends with right now. Her name is Kate. And she took care of me for approximately like a week and a half, because after a week and a half, we found out that my leg had to be amputated. It was no longer savable. The day of my amputation, I came out of it and I was really heavily drugged up, obviously, but I asked my nurse's name who was waiting there with me, and she told me and I forgot it. And then I woke up again. I said, "I'm so sorry, I don't remember your name." And she goes, "It's like Jenny, like Jenny of Forrest Gump." And she goes, "And you're Lieutenant Sam." And I thought that was the most fun way to treat a situation that was so hard for me. Like, I appreciated the fact that she was just willing to joke about it right off the bat, because nobody else is. Like, it's a serious situation, but she, right out of surgery, had me cracking smiles. She took me to Ellery, who was my first nurse there, and he was a travel nurse. And I told everybody on the floor, because it was his first day there, I started calling him Forrest, because I had Jen A and I was Lieutenant Sam and he was my Forrest. One of the best things he did for me was, I was in so much pain one day that I thought literally I was dying. And he sat by me while the meds went into my IV, and he held on to me and he was like, "No, you're not dying. We're not gonna let you die. This is just how pain makes your body act." And he was so calm and cool and collected, and you could tell he really, truly cared about me, which is saying a lot. Like, it's somebody who didn't know me at all, and he knew that I was suffering, and he was willing to go out of his way to make sure my suffering wasn't as hard as it could have been. I had a lot of great nurses along this road. But the one that really stands out to me, her name is Libby, and she's a nurse at UNMC. She was the nurse who basically forced me to look at my leg. She made me acknowledge it and accept it, because prior to that, I wouldn't. I would have panic attacks when people would try and take my blanket off. I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to know anything about it. I wanted it to not be real. And finally, there was a day that she came in and she said, "Sam, it's time." And I did not agree. But she stood by me and she held my hand. I promised I wasn't gonna cry. I might cry. She held my hand, and she had me look at it. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done. So I looked at it and I cried because a piece of me was gone. And I felt less than who I am. And she sat with me and she held me while I cried, and she hugged me, and she told me that I was never gonna be less than who I am. I'm still the same person. I'm still the same personality. I still have the same heart. I just have a prosthetic leg now. Libby was one of many people who helped keep me sane. And I don't know that I would have been okay without everybody who crossed my path during this time. So to all of those nurses who helped me during this time, thank you. My reason for recruiting has changed because of this. And it's now I want to get you where you want to go, but I also want you to go where people need you. And I needed every single nurse that came in my path. And I'm so grateful for all of them.